We're in my studio using Serato Studio. It's a beautiful day. We got some good vibes, so we're gonna make like a little chill hip hop beat just to kind of keep the vibes going. I like to get inspired by like going through samples and other music and stuff. So today I got a folder of samples I took. We'll go through, we'll find one and turn it into something, hopefully. That's a vibe, but yeah, I like that one. So this is another cool thing I like about Serato Studio is each individual cue point I set on my sample, I can add different plugins to it. I set a cue point here for just the regular one on 5 here, so it's just the sample as is. The original sample was in A sharp minor, but my session is in E minor, and Serato Studio just instantly transposes it for me, which is awesome. So I don't have to like sit there and like try to transpose it myself with my ear. I'm not that good at it, so it's cool that you guys do that for me. Yeah, so I set a cue point here. Then I actually set another cue point again. And on this one, I'm adding the M Rhythmizer plugin by Melda. Shout out Melda, they got like dope stuff. So this one I set it at 50% speed. So what it does is it plays the exact same sample, 50% slower. And I could pitch it down in actual Serato Studio, but I like the sound this has. It almost like slows it down in a way that's kind of like just current hip hop vibes. Like a lot of people do that, they like slow down the sample. So the original one sounds like this. Then there's a 50% slower, which is this. Kind of has like just a different grit to it, so that plugin's on top of that. And then I ended up making another cue point later on in the same sample, which is just kind of like this fill turnaround thing. So I wanted to add like a little bit of like a melody on top. I'll load up like a synth. I like to like use VST plugins, so it's cool that Serato Studio allows that. So yeah, we're gonna load up Anna, Sonic Academy's new plugin with Slate Digital. So we're in E minor. Bring it up. Bust out my sample here. Try to find chords that fit that a little bit. Take some lows out. I want it a little thinner. So that's good. I'm gonna add another third-party plugin here. This one's called Shaperbox. So we got the chords, we got the melody. I gotta add some drums. This is like one of the kits that I included in my pack. Basic kick, pretty wide hat, some like weird little sounds, cool little accents, cool claps. Weird little sounds. Add a couple little like accents here. Put that in, turn that down. Turn that down a little bit. Cool. So yeah, just add a little basic drum beat on top of it. The pitch in time stretch has always been so good. You can slow it way down or pitch it way up. I don't have to worry about anything. It's just constantly flowing, listening, vibing, just like I were to if I were to be DJing. So what I like to do too is I like to use a lot of little percussion loops and things like that. So another cool thing with Serato Studio is you can pick little sections of drum loops, so you can actually use someone's full loop, but a little pieces of it, which is kind of cool. It's like chopping it up in a way that's a full loop, but it's like little sections that I can create my own. And I like this little clap and this whoosh in it, so I added this to kind of support the drum break. Carries it a little bit. I added this little lead here, but the cool thing is you can just kind of open it up and it all stays in key. Just like hitting the keys and I sound like a good keyboardist. It's kind of tight. You get the gist. It's just like you can kind of just jam out on anything just on my keys. If you're not like me and you know how to play keys, you can just turn off the play in key and it just does the normal black and white keys keyboard, which is good for people that know how to do what they're doing, but I don't. But I like to keep it in the cheat code mode and just like keep it simple, just be able to feel the vibes and not really like worry too much. And that's the way I like to create and just like feel it out. If it keeps feeling good, just keep going with that. I sound amazing and I have no idea what I'm doing. Trap Beethoven. One thing I really love about Serato Studio is that everything stays in key, or it can stay in key if you want it to. Go in and fix a note or two. Right now, it's kind of dark with the E minor, so we could even go up in key. The drums stay in key, which is awesome. They're not pitched up and they're not slowing down. The way that a drum is, when you pitch it up, it gets shorter and it almost like creates a weird vibe to the song. Well, actually, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit too. It's good if the drums are staying the same, staying in key, and like it doesn't shorten up. Going way down in key, bring it back up. And then on my master, I threw a couple plugins on here. And so I've got this plugin here I like called Golfos. It kind of just auto equalizes everything for you instantly, which is kind of dope. So just on this session, if I want to just like kind of clean things up, this will just automatically tame it. Get everything like tight, get everything where it needs to be. I like how you can just easily find anything, whether it's a sample or a plugin or anything like that. So in here, I can just search for whatever I want. So I'm looking for the Slate mix bus right now. And I can just search for it, drag it in here, let it go, and voila, it's like right here instantly. And you can actually see the waveform of what's happening. So in my mix, I can actually beef up certain things. Like if I notice there's like a little bit of less red in my mix, I can actually turn up some low end. It's like a good way to visually see what I'm doing audibly. Like if I need to end up like boosting a little low end, I can throw like an EQ on here. So I actually throw one more on. Just drag and drop. I can watch it low end. You can in real time see what's happening right here with my low end. Just a good way to find a nice balance. Again, just a visual representation of it. I've always taken my tracks when I finish them in Ableton or anything like that and throw them into just Serato DJ and just to see the waveforms, to see if like the colors are right, if the limiting is right. So it's awesome that you can do that right now as I'm working on the track. I can actually tweak it live. I don't have to render it, take it into Serato, look at it, and then go back and try to tweak it a little bit. It's all real time in here, which is awesome. This is like a great feature. Like right here's an empty gap that I could fill with content. So I actually did. I have this sample playing here, and then the next one is playing there. So you can actually visually see the waveform of where these sounds are, so you can line something up. So not only am I getting a visual representation with the frequency ranges, but I'm getting a physical representation with the waveforms as well. So I can also fill in these little areas, or if I see things clashing, I can remove them in those certain areas, which is great. I'm a very visual person, so for me it's creating music visually, which I really like. Get another scene in here, and I'm gonna put the lead on this scene, delete it from this scene. So what I did is I duplicated the previous scene I just did with the lead on top, and I actually made it a new scene, and I'm gonna delete it from the previous scene, the lead I did. And so now it's only in the scene 4, like the last little scene, so it's just kind of like a little outro. I'll take the initial hit from that one and put it on here on this session here. So we'll take the initial hit from that one. I added just like the basic Serato effects, just a dry reverb and a delayed reverb, just to kind of like give it a little space so it just doesn't hard cut. Take some low end out of that too. And then we'll hear it in context with the samples too. I'm renaming my scenes right now just to kind of like, just give a visual representation again. I'm super OCD, so I'm just trying to get a visual representation of what my song is gonna look like. So I've got the intro, I've got a bridge, I've got a chorus I'm about to put in. So now I have like a kind of a sketch of an idea for like just like using some of these samples, kind of playing around, getting a nice little structure. And what I'm gonna do is export this and probably take it over to Ableton, and just kind of like beef up the track, build around it, maybe like add some more automation and things like that. We'll go down here, we'll export it. And usually what I'll do is I'll just export stems from here so I can take them individually into Ableton and tweak from there. There's options to export the master, the 2-track, or export stems. Then you can also decrease it a little bit, but I'm gonna keep the volume as is. So yeah, it shows me all the individual samples, the different synths, like having all these Anna synths. I can actually pull the leads from those, put them into a session, or even use them in another song later if I like the lead that I used. I have all the drums, everything from there. That's the cool thing about Serato Studio is I can, even though I made this in E minor, if I'm working on another session that's in G minor, I can just drag this lead that I wrote in this session and use it in something else. So constantly just sketching ideas in Serato Studio and actually using them in other projects sometimes, it really helps. Or even if I'm in a session with like another artist, some of these ideas I made in this, I could actually apply to a song that I'm working on in the future, whether that is Ableton or Serato Studio. It's Flosstradamus here. Thank you guys so much for sitting with me today. Just made a quick little beat in Serato Studio. I use some of the sounds from my sample pack, so if you guys get Serato Studio, get the new sounds that I just provided for y'all. Be creative, be positive. See you soon.